Stop going down rabbit holes, but I can't because I have so many unanswered questions. And today's topic of discussion is Sara Levinson. And I know some of you might go, who? Because she's such a minor, inconsequential character in the whole scheme of things. She's just sort of this presence, this beige, pouty-faced amalgam who just happened to be there that night. And it's interesting hearing her testify where she's like, oh, we were listening to music and we were drinking and dancing. And I'm like, were you? Were you? You? Why haven't we talked more about her? Why don't we know more about her? And I start to think, is that by design? Was she intentionally kept out of stuff? That's what we're going to talk about today. But regardless of kind of your personality or what you do or the things you like or the way you behave, everybody deserves a best friend. And Sara Levinson's best friend is Kelly Don't Call Me Deaver Dever. And I got to thinking, wait a minute. Could it be? Could there be a reason that Sarah was never a bigger player in this? Was she, and I'm speculating, but was there any way, shape, or form she was protected, is what I'm asking. So let's go back to the beginning. So when all the officers arrive at the home and they, start to put the pieces together, right? Proctor and his boys come in, Lank goes to the home, they're getting these statements. And they're kind of gathering like who was all here, roughly what time did people leave? Like they're kind of putting together this loose time frame. They don't know it yet, but there's going to come a time where Karen's going to hire her own detectives and they're going to have to start handing stuff over to the defense. You already know stuff was handed over to the defense, but they'd been altered. Different dates, different names, numbers transposed, those kinds of things. And the defense is like, I wonder why it is we have two different copies of this with two different, like this one has edits. Thank God we had the original. So we know there was some monkey business going on in the beginning when it was time to give some stuff over to the defense. One of the original documents is kind of the theory of that night. Brian Jr. was having a birthday party, and it literally says that Julie Nagel was there, and so was another unidentified woman. Very early on, Sarah's name wasn't mentioned in anything. And if it was mentioned, it was her first name only. There was an incorrect, maybe like an address or contact information for her. At one point, her name is spelled wrong. So if you are a detective or you're anybody on the defense's team that's trying to run down these witnesses and trying to ask questions about what happened that night, you can't find anybody. Now, there's no record of Sarah even being officially interviewed by Proctor's side, right, by the Commonwealth, until 9 months after the incident happened. And just as a reminder, Sara Levinson is roughly about the same age as Brian Jr. They went to high school together. So I'll put her right at around 26. I'm sure she says that under testimony, but I'm not going to go back and look. They're friends from high school, and she was a registered nurse. At the time of John O'Keefe's death, she was in that home. She was working as a registered nurse. So in the home that night, you've got trained first responders, cops, federal officers, ATF. You've got soccer moms, and you've got a registered nurse. But no one talks about Sarah, and it's kind of weird. Even the McCabe's, when the McCabe's are interviewed, I did this video a couple videos ago. When the McCabe's are first interviewed by police, they go, oh yeah, we left at this time and we went home. And then when we start to put the timeline together based on the phone data and the GPS data, then they're like, oh yeah, well, we did make a stop. Now that you ask, we made a stop. We dropped off Julie Nagel. Oh, but wait, wait, it still doesn't match up? Oh yeah, I think we also dropped off Sara Levinson. Now, Sarah's testimony is that she and Julie were dropped off at the house, the Albert home at 34 Fairview, by Julie's dad between 7 and 8. That's fine. Julie's dad drops them off. How was Sarah going to get home is my first question. How was Sarah supposed to get home? Or was she going to stay the night? Because I think a lot of this was supposed to be like the Blizzard slumber party, like all night thing. But we never really understand how she's supposed to get home. Julie texts her brother, and her brother agrees to come get her. And then once her brother gets there, Julie goes, never mind, I'm going to stay. But there was never any mention of him taking or coming to show up to take Sarah home. Sarah admits, she testified twice. She admits that she was there. And she also mentions, what's interesting, she mentions 4 other women, younger women, that their age group, friends of theirs that were there earlier, that had left. She mentions them by name. She says at one point, Brian Jr. took one of them upstairs to meet Chloe. So at one point, Brian Jr. was upstairs in the room with the dog and that girl, and she wanted to go meet the dog. Great. Okay. So everything about Sarah is really nondescript. My question is, was somebody working to protect her?
Let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end.
Here's why I think maybe. And I don't, again, maybe. Kelly Dever is called into the dispatch because Good is at working dispatch when he hears that John O'Keefe has been found at 34 Fairview. Good, Seraph, Mulaney, Gallagher, and Lank all go to the scene, leaving Kelly at the dispatch center. Now, we saw from Higgins' video how easy it is for people to just kind of come and go. Like, you can walk in and be like, what's up? We know the dispatch area is a desk with multiple cameras that shows you all of the different stuff that's happening around the station. Just like I think Higgins was there all day long playing interference and making sure that nobody went in this direction, I think Kelly Dever had an opportunity to maybe protect her friend. And maybe not so much as working to omit as working to evade, right? When all of these officers come back and they're like, somebody was there with Julie Nagel, a Sarah somebody. Kelly, you know these girls. Do you know anybody named Sarah L? And Kelly like, nope, I don't know anybody that would have been at the party that night. When Lank comes back to the station and says, well, gosh, now they're telling the story that my girlfriend thinks she might have hit him. Higgins is there to go, oh yeah, that girlfriend's crazy. She probably did hit him. She's wicked violent. She's angry. That girl has anger issues. You got both Higgins and Dever there to kind of, the other officers have no idea what's going on and they don't care. They're handing it over to MSP. So I don't think they really give a shit what their reports say or how inconclusive anything is. I don't think they care. So this is like a field day for people like Higgins and Dever who might be wanting to gaslight the situation to the benefit of their friends. And Kelly working dispatch, like she stayed overtime to work dispatch. She was there from 6 a.m. all the way through until like 4 p.m. Every single thing that happened and was talked about in that station, she could have been a party to. So it's really easy for her to go, look over there, maybe it's this, and do some sort of effort to keep them from really putting down on paper what Sarah Levinson's situation was that night. There's something there. It feels creepy. I'm going to keep digging.